Kaushik has finally decided to give a talk. So we'll have so our next speaker it will be Kaushik, and Kaushik, thanks for deciding to give a talk finally. Kaushik was supposed to give a talk yesterday, but then due to some reason he's decided to give now. So Kaushik is going to talk about fog computing startup. By the way, Kaushik is one of the active persons in the organization of this workshop. So I need to thank Kaushik for that as well, and thank him for agreeing to give the talk. So I'll give a brief intro to Kaushik. So Kaushik P is the CEO and founder of Smartiply Inc., headquartered in Basking Ridge, New Jersey. The company creates innovative fog edge computing solutions for the IoT industry globally. They earned recognition from the CIO Review magazine for 20 most promising IoT solution providers in 2018. Prior to Smartiply, Kaushik was the group CEO for Universal Industries, Southern Africa, and the senior vice president of emerging businesses at Reliance Communications India. So, Kaushik, please go ahead. I request you to go ahead and give your talk.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for this time slot. So I had to get bumped yesterday from my talk, but I think I like this slot because it comes right after I think Anurag and after Prashant, because Prashant talked about investments into startups, and specifically he mentioned fog computing, and then coincidentally we have been a fog computing company, and so I'll just quickly go through what we did so far, and I'm also pleased to share that our company got acquired this year, and as of like last week signed the final paperwork for it. So we just got acquired. So as well, I would like to start with defining fog computing, because 5 years ago when fog and was emerging, and then we already had edge, there were so many definitions everywhere, but we want to put a stick in the sand, and basically we wanted to define it for ourselves so that we would have clarity on the direction. So in this triangle, you see the cloud at the top, and then you see the edge devices, the network edge, and then you have the things. Okay, so the area between below the cloud all the way to the things, that's what we call the fog. Okay, so anything that happens in that area below the cloud, we call it fog computing. But there is something called fog continuum, because fog is not a replacement for cloud, but fog is more of a technology that augments cloud. And again, somebody in the last couple of days talks about how it's all about efficiencies. Depending upon what you want to achieve, you can compute in the cloud versus the edge, or the all the way at the bottom. And so that's our definition of fog. So talking about our investment thesis, so what I would like to do is that our company got acquired, but I've picked several slides from our pitch deck that actually led us to a successful acquisition. But this deck talks about what we did, what problem we were solving, and what products we built, etc. So IoT and mobility and video, they create massive problems with cloud dependent architectures. And of course, over the last 2 years, 5 years, the technology has significantly changed. Prashant talked about the bandwidth evolution. We went through all that, okay, over the last few years. There are billions of things because of IoT everywhere. That also means that there are lots of things with a lot of capabilities, and each of these IoT devices is becoming more and more powerful. And so that means that there is an opportunity to leverage a lot of these devices, which may be actually severely underutilized, and they're all in the fog. So what that means is that while you have a lot of computing power in the cloud, there is probably equal or more power in the fog, and therefore there is an opportunity for us to create innovative solutions. Um, and in our case, what we focused on was resource sharing and collaboration. Okay, so it was all about devices in the fog, multiple things in the fog that are intelligently able to discover each other and greet each other and bond with each other and share resources with each other. And what are the resources? The resources could be bandwidth, storage, computing, and other applications. Pretty much the same kind of resources that are also available in the cloud, in a more centralized environment. Okay, and we took a platform approach to build um, out this technology because um, I want to draw a parallel here. So you have a cloud platform which primarily brings together all the resources, giving a virtual experience, giving unlimited resources to everybody, right? Um, so there was no such platform that did the same thing for the resources available inside the fog. Okay, how do we bring together all these resources that are available in the fog and make them available to other people to build applications? So that's what we tried to address. So we built a platform, and we got acquired. So that's what I want to state there. So the problem at the time we were trying to solve for, uh, cloud dependent applications, IoT applications, had limitations, had challenges, connectivity problems. Maybe now in certain geographies like India, maybe Africa, uh, Mexico, connectivity is better than two years ago, 5 years ago, but still there are significant areas in the world with poor connectivity or lack of connectivity. I know that at least in Mexico, which is right below United States, only 50% of the geography is connected, and so there are still areas that have challenges, and it will take time to evolve. Although 5G has come into the picture, in many countries 4G is still being rolled out. Maybe 3G, is probably being maybe, discontinued, etc. But even 5G technology, it's going to take several years for it to become ubiquitous, before which maybe 6G will come into the picture. So they will always be a situation, I think, where the connectivity will always be a challenge for some use cases. So connectivity was a big problem we were trying to solve for. Performance, inefficiency, latency, security, and most importantly, I'll talk about cost. Until maybe 1 year ago, uh, I think IoT was only reserved for uh, the advanced economies. United States, Europe, and other advanced economies, deployed some sophisticated solutions, purchased from sophisticated, companies like Cisco and others, where these solutions were very expensive. You take some of these routers, some of these equipment needed to deploy IoT, they're very expensive and they're not affordable. So, but over a period of time, the cost comes down, over 3 to 4 years, and then they become affordable but also obsolete. Okay, so what we achieved within a very short period of time was we advanced the adoption curve of IoT by implementing a fog computing platform. So, whereas companies would have maybe waited for 3 to 4 years to deploy certain solutions, because uh, because there were technology challenges or because they were too expensive. Because of fog computing, we were able to allow them to deploy 3 years in advance at a much affordable at an affordable cost. So um, the last statement here basically, we had the cloud when we started this company. There were a lot of edge solutions, but all these solutions were more verticalized. You had edge solution for oil and gas. You had edge solution for energy management. So a lot of these edge solutions were more vertically focused, and they were also tied to the hardware. you know so that means that, if you had to get a edge solution from a particular company, then you have to buy their router. you know but through our technology platform, we made it horizontal. That means that you could actually pick any hardware and deploy the solution, and also it was horizontal from a perspective that it was not limited to solving a particular use case. You could pretty much build solutions for any industry. Okay, so that's what we achieved with our platform. We built 3 different solutions using our platform, and many more could have been built. But we also built platform SDK and APIs so that uh, other people could build applications on our platform. So we built a gateway solution, and I'll quickly go through the use case, the problem we solved with that gateway solution using edge computing, fog computing. We built mobile solution, and there are a couple of applications we built there as well. And then we also built a payment solution. That's where the offline computing comes into the picture. And if I have time, I may show you some video, but let's see how it goes. So this is the platform that was built, a horizontal platform, and the vision was to have every device with this platform inside it. Okay, any device to basically offer capabilities such as discovering devices and other resources within a proximity, creating an ad hoc fog network with those resources and devices, and start communicating, collaborating, and sharing things and controlling things within that environment, and optimally use resources and build applications, allow other people to build applications on the platform to solve for a particular problem. So that's the stack, and and that stack could be injected into any device in the world, and that was the vision. Um, so the core functionality was, in addition to edge intelligence, collaboration and sharing was one of the core capabilities. And of course, offline computing was the other. Because we always believed in solving for all environments. And again, yesterday I mentioned about uh, uh, environments where you have connectivity, okay, but maybe not enough, or using connectivity optimally. Environment where you have connectivity sometimes, and sometimes it's sporadic, and environments where there is no connectivity. So these are 3 different environments, and we need to be able to solve for all the 3. And so the offline computing enables offline to online continuity. Okay. We market traction. We actually started with pilots. We were so fortunate that within the first 9 months of the starting of the company, we got our first paid customer. And while we were doing a lot of pilots across the globe, the first customer actually came from India, that had some critical issues that we actually solved, and it was a big success story. And our first customer was a system integrator, and our first end customer was McDonald's. Okay, that used our gateway to solve for some video security use case. Then, of course, as we expanded and built other solutions, we built a mobile solution as well for the consumer segment, and then the payment platform. Um, uh, we built partnerships with Stron and Amazon, and others. There were other partners, but these were some of the major partners we built, partnerships we built, and of course, Wistron was our one of our major investors. Um, so this is more about business model, and I will not spend too much time on this, but because as I said, right, I picked up slides from our pitch deck, and so that it gives an idea to people. It's a good segue from what Prashant presented, what investors may be looking for in a pitch. So this basically talks about, hey, now we built this product. How are we going to make money, right? So we had multiple stages. In the foundation stage, we bundled the hardware and software together, and sold it as one piece. As we scaled, we started getting into hardware separately sold, but software sold in a recurring licensing model. And then we evolved into a platform model, especially when we partnered with Amazon, where Amazon sells everything, AWS sells everything on a pay-per-use basis. And so what customers were demanding was that, hey, I have 1,000 sites, and it's too expensive for me to deploy all these devices across 1,000 sites. Can you provide a solution on a monthly licensing basis? So there were customers that wanted us to just charge them X amount of money per month for 5 years, which included hardware, software, maintenance, everything. Okay, so we had to evolve our business model based on the customer need, but that was our roadmap anyway, that we wanted to build a platform and offer it as a service. The first use case is the one that uses the edge gateway that we deployed in India, and the pain point was surrounding video. It was a video surveillance use case, and this company was primarily located in the, the big cities in India, where the infrastructure is better, connectivity is better. But in spite of that, they had challenges, and so during different points in the day, the connectivity would fluctuate, the bandwidth would fluctuate, and so sometimes at any point in time when you go to the command center, about 30% of their screens were blank because the videos could not be they could not be pulled from the locations and remote locations. And also, if there were outages, so if there was a network outage, then it would take 15 to 30 minutes to switch from one network to a backup network. But in a security environment, outages are not really, and you can't tolerate any gaps, because during that gap of 15 to 30 minutes, something could happen and you have not captured it. So things like that. So these were some issues. Another issue was that when a customer wanted the service, it used to take maybe 2 to 3 months to activate the service, because you had to go there, you had to put this device, multiple devices from multiple suppliers, and activate them, test them. So the deployment time was also too long. But with our platform embedded in a gateway, which was manufactured by one of our investors, we were able to change the situation for them. We were able to, number one, solve the problem with the bandwidth, because we had while we did not intend to do this, resource sharing was more about sharing computing and other resources, but we were able to share the bandwidth resources as well, because a lot of these deployments had primary and secondary connections. People were paying for both of them, but they were only using one at a time. So through resource sharing, we were able to combine multiple bandwidth pipes, and through edge computing, we were able to further optimize, because when you transport video, it's expensive because you're using up data. And there are some locations during certain times where you don't need that video, like on a Saturday early morning, 2 o'clock, there's nobody there at the ATM location, but you're still streaming the video, you're using up the bandwidth, right? So we had to build some optimization capabilities within the gateway using fog edge computing, and where when there's nobody out there, then we don't need to stream. But when there is somebody out there, we would stream from multiple locations, but we would optimize on the number of frames being sent to the command center. But then when the agent in the command center wants to look at a location in more detail, then we could increase the bandwidth and give them a high definition video. So we did some video optimization as well. And what we also did was we integrated all the different sensors into one box, instead of which made the deployment basically faster. So they would I think would take about 2 weeks or so instead of 2 to 3 months to activate any site. So these were some of the benefits achieved with our first product. The second product is more of a consumer oriented product, and this is about smartphones, and primarily at the time we built it for Android, and in the roadmap we were going to extend it to the iPhone system. Basically, this is all about friends and family members, colleagues. Most of the time they're together, and they all have smartphones. Most of the time smartphones are idle, and the idea was combining the smartphones through an ad hoc fog network. So whenever you come home, you're with a family, all your family phones, like in your family you may have 3 4 5 phones, smartphones at home, so they all automatically get into a fog network. And once they're in the network, then you can discover each other, you can control each other, you can share resources. It could be bandwidth, it could be other resources as well. So like you're downloading an app, there is no space in your phone anymore, so just download it into your brother's app, your brother's phone instead, things like that. So once you combine all these devices together, then basically you can store whatever you want wherever you want, not just on your own device. So that's just an example of resource sharing. But specifically what we did was we took this concept and built an application, an app called Data Ninja. So if you go to the Android App Store, you'll see an app which is more used for demonstration purposes of how a fog network works. So if you can download a Data Ninja, and if you have an Android phone, you can combine all the phones together and combine all the bandwidth and watch basically videos together with uninterrupted experience. And you can do a lot of other things as well. Then the third use case is financial inclusion, and this is one of the things that's close to my heart as well. This was a situation where, again, when we built this platform with a vision, we never thought that we were going to build this app and that app, and we were going to solve for a particular use case. We never thought that. They all came about accidentally because of a customer requirement. So when we were demonstrating a security solution for a smart city solution in Mexico, somebody learned about this and asked about and shared this issue that they had in Mexico, where about every month there are 45,000 locations in Mexico in rural areas where millions of citizens go and collect cash that are disbursed by the government. Okay, so the government hands off cash to some of the people who are underserved, but then in those locations, 45,000 locations, they don't have connectivity or proper connectivity, and they had a lot of other issues like people losing cash, mismanagement of cash. Somebody would steal your cash, they would attack you and then steal it, things like that. You get robbed. There were a lot of these issues. So what we did here was to open up our platform for fog computing in environments where there was no connectivity. Specifically, what we did was, our platform was already on the Android device, and we also realized that all the all the point of sale systems, that are very popular in Mexico, they were also Android based. Okay, because they were also inexpensive and Android based. So what we did, we took our platform from the smartphone and also deployed it in the Android POS terminals. So suddenly, what happened was we were able to have multiple smartphones connect to each other in an offline environment and start exchanging money, making payments to each other. We were able to have the government, transfer money to you offline from their POS system to your smartphone, and then you would take that money, a local wallet, go to the merchants, and we were creating a network of, uh, 700 different merchants group. It was an aggregation where they would accept your offline payments so that you can actually go buy things offline. And a lot of these merchants were also, these retail stores were also in rural areas where connectivity was, bad. So this was a very powerful uh, byproduct, I would say. But it's using fog computing in environments where there was no connectivity. But this also was valuable in environments where uh, there was connectivity, because uh, uh, you know uh, there were a lot of situations where you would go to a pawn shop, or yeah, you want to get a bond, and people were not willing to share their IDs and phone numbers. They wanted to do transactions anonymously offline. You would get into a taxi, you want to pay the taxi driver. People wouldn't use mobile payments because they were afraid that their handle would be given away and they could be tracked back, you know, and maybe kidnapped later, So using offline payments, we were able to anonymize payment as well. Okay. Um, okay, let me see how much time I have. So there were a lot of other uses because we used a platform approach. We could, the idea was to that we could enable this platform on any device and therefore any use case as well. Um, this talks about competitive landscape, where do we play? There are four different dimensions here. We have cloud focused companies versus things focused companies, software focused companies versus hardware focused companies. Okay, when you talk about fog computing, these were the four different corners, and we were more like in the thing focused companies, because there were companies like Cisco, mostly in the hardware side. They were deploying solutions, but you need to buy their hardware. Companies like AWS, they were deploying IT solutions, but you needed to buy their cloud services, right? But we were about, the things space, and I'll explain that in the next slide. We came up with this concept of IoT 1.0, IoT 2.0, and IoT 3.0. Okay, so IoT 1.0 was all about intelligence in the cloud, and so IoT solutions would go to the cloud. Now, all of a sudden, massive number of devices are going to the cloud and may choke the cloud. And so IoT 2.0 was about edge computing, where a lot of companies ending up doing things on the network edge or on the gateway devices. But IoT 3.0 is what we introduced, which is massive think-to-think collaboration. Okay, collaboration between all these things here at the bottom of the pyramid, and using resources available to you and enabling new use cases at that level. And when you need, go to the edge or go to the cloud. But when you don't need, you're self-sufficient in that area. Okay. And I put other companies here, like Eero. And I think Eero got acquired by Amazon at the time, and I put IBM there because IBM has this Watson platform, but they're trying to, I think, focus on analytics and intelligence in the think space, at the bottom of the pyramid. So we want to create a collaboration. But anyway, now our company is acquired, and it remains to be seen what our roadmap would look like. We talked about the business model, so I'll just skip this. Okay, this slide is about timing. Okay, at the time we started this, the timing was right, and even now the timing is right, because if you see, um, because we wanted our platform to be deployed across every device. Okay, and you can see how the number of deployments of I mean the installations, for IoT, and the installations means so many number of devices are being manufactured, whether it is sensors, cameras, and any other kind of IoT device. And so it was a great opportunity for us to catch that wave. Okay, and by 2022 there will be saturation, right? We wanted to catch the wave ahead of time so that we can embed our technology in every device that's being manufactured. Okay, on the right hand side, it's all about companies investing in IoT, and so there's a lot of opportunity for us to enable a lot of use cases. The bottom graph shows that basically connectivity is not the only area that where previously companies were focused on or banking on. There are a lot of applications, the opportunities for building applications and also offering professional services in this space. And fog computing market is growing. Okay, that's the bottom right. Um, we had a great team, and I know Prashant talked about the team. We had a great team with a mixture of technology and business, experienced business people. And I definitely felt, maybe I was biased, I definitely felt that we had assembled some of the best people in the world, for a startup company. And we were so fortunate. Uh, and I'll talk about one of the success factors was that until we got acquired, the team from the beginning to the end, 5 years, we stayed together. Nobody left. So that's definitely one of our achievements, because we found harmony. We found a balance where everybody worked very well together, and we had no issues. So that's definitely one of the success stories for us. Um, uh, the founders, myself, and two other distinguished people from the industry, from the research industry, Dr. Mung Chang and Dr. Junshan Zhang. So we came together and built this company and built a team. And we built products, we deployed them, generated revenue very fast. We established strategic partnerships. We created an IP portfolio with patents, approved patents in fog computing area, and we maintained team continuity. We won a lot of awards, and with that, I'm really fortunate to have had this experience uh, to unexpectedly start a company, because I thought startup was for people who, college graduates and who just drop out of college and become billionaires. I never thought that at this age I would ever be, doing this, and I'm so fortunate to have had this opportunity, to have worked with great people, to have learned a lot, and to have built a great network across the globe. So with that, I conclude my presentation, and I also thank everybody involved, both from an organizing perspective as well as a participation perspective at this event. And I think I am the last speaker, last but one speaker here. Thank you very, very much.